Instagram has started testing a new tool which is allowing users to verify their age using a video selfie or by asking mutual friends to vouch for them. So joining me to tell us more about what this is, basically, is tech journalist, friend of the channel as well. It's Will Guyatt. Thank you very much, Will. Great to have you back on the show. What's so important about this? Why do they have to verify people's age?
Well, it's a bit of a mess, the whole of the internet, when it comes to actually proving somebody is of age. So all the big social networks say you need to be 13 or above to have an account. But essentially, it was like me going down the cinema in the 1980s and claiming I was 15 when I clearly wasn't. There's no control there at the moment. And what Meta are trying to do here is introduce some kind of system which may prove age. Now, the most terrifying thing for this, for me, is that this is going to use artificial intelligence. Essentially, you're going to put a photo of a young person into the internet, and the internet is going to analyze how old that person is. That's one of the methods they're trying to do. This comes the same week as Microsoft is saying to customers that use some of its artificial intelligence tools that it's going to stop making them available because of the ethics and the unspoken about ethics of artificial intelligence. So, while one company runs away from this technology, or at least puts it slightly back into the box, it would appear that Meta is running towards it as a potential solution for this age-old problem of how do you at least do your best as a company to stop underage people using social networks.
Well, I'm not sure whether or not... Yeah, OK, that's obviously one way of looking at it. Of course, the other way of looking at it is that there's a lot of people out there who are basically paedophiles. And you see this all the time, you know, like paedophile hunters, this, that and the other. It does seem absolutely amazing to me how many people out there clearly have untoward intentions towards children to put them out. So could this guard against that?
Patrick, I have to stop you there, and I love and respect you, but that is that's the biggest, most dangerous generalisation I have ever heard about the internet in my 20-year history of doing this. The internet is not full of paedophiles. There are bad users on the internet and people with bad intentions. I'm just clearing up what you just said there. There are bad people on the internet with bad intentions.
Yeah, right, fine, OK, fine. But is this designed to protect children against those people?
It's designed to protect children from content that's being seen by them, inappropriate content. It's designed to protect children in many ways. Yes.
OK, so it's a good thing, then?
Potentially a good thing. The bigger issue here you could look at is why is there not a better way of identifying how old people are on the internet? At the same time, several years ago, we had a government suggesting that a scratch card system, if I wanted to look at legal porn on the internet, was going to be the way that I was going to have to prove I was over 18 if I fancied looking at it. That's the situation we find ourselves in here. There's no perfect solution, so everybody is looking for something. Many would be concerned, though, Patrick, that they're uploading a photograph of their child into a system that somebody like Meta would own and have that system rate that child for age via artificial intelligence. It's a slippery slope. Does this information get saved? Where does it go after that? Nobody would argue with you that the internet needs to be safer, and kids and anybody who's vulnerable needs to be protected on the internet. Nobody's disputing that, but I don't necessarily think there is an easy way of doing that. And some of that problem is the tech companies, and some of that problem is this continued reluctance to introduce any kind of state or national ID system which would stop this at source. You could then prove how old somebody was. You could then show them appropriate content, be that adult entertainment, be that a social network that says you need to be over 13 to have an account. It could stop advertising or gambling ads, let's say, being served at kids who are watching football matches through the internet. So many really important things could happen if the government developed a spine and decided it would do something like an ID system, which many people are against, but it would solve lots of these problems about verification.
It is. Look, it is a tricky one because I think, look, inherently we can all agree, can't we, that we want online safety, we want people to be safe online, especially children. It's just a question, isn't it, which is the discussion we're having now about how you go about it, right? And, I am inherently... I would say I would naturally be against this idea of, kind of big tech when it comes to things like, facial recognition stuff or telling me how old I am. But then I'm just not sure what the other options are, Will.
But this is the problem. This is the same week as Google are suggesting, or somebody that worked for Google that's been suspended, suggested that their chatbot, their artificial intelligence chatbot, so this is machine learning, it's essentially a piece of computer code, had become sentient and had the same reasoning skills as a 7 to 8 year old. Now, this person's been slightly discredited because they then suggested that this piece of chatbot code had got an attorney of its own. But there's this whole situation that artificial intelligence is growing so quickly.
Well,
the powers it have are growing so massively. Tech companies just aren't disclosing how quick this is going, and the ethics just aren't there. Governments are not governing this stuff at all.
Just a quick one, Will. Sorry, a bit off pieces. Well, I tell you what, we've covered a lot here, Will. But a bit off pieces. But is AI sentient? Because there was an article that came out last week. I covered it. I think I covered it earlier this week, actually, about artificial intelligence. There's some guy who basically says he thinks it's got feelings.
Yeah, this is a piece of code that he says has got the emotional reasoning of a 7 or 8 year old, which is terrifying when you've got a 7 or 8 year old like I have. Yes, this is the problem. These companies are not talking about how quickly this technology is developing. This was saying, Patrick, it was scared of being switched off. It would be like dying to this particular piece of code. And when you get to that stage, you're not far off Terminator or HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey territory, a computer that decides to go rogue because it doesn't want to be switched off. This is why the whole conversation about artificial intelligence needs to be in the public arena. In the same way as everybody got obsessed about Brexit, nobody is talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning and automation, essentially taking probably around about 50% of all of our jobs within the next 20 years.
Yeah. Will, I think you're absolutely spot on, mate. I think absolutely spot on. I mean, I do feel a bit sorry for people who are, I mean, I'm taking this to an extreme example, but, you know, the people who work on the tills next to the self-service checkout. Because you're basically looking at the robot that is going to take your job one day, essentially.
No. But we're not talking about that. Patrick, if you do this for long enough, the bosses of GBNews could take all your audio from all of your appearances, and you could have a deepfake Patrick Christie's doing this job. Now, arguably, that means you could be in Marbella, which is great for you, and you could be earning the money. Or your bosses could be using all of your appearances from X many years on GB News to do your job for you. And for anybody who thinks I'm bonkers, look at all these deepfakes that are increasingly coming through from all of these organisations and people who are trying to pretend to be other people online.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what you've just done here, Will, and I thought we were getting on. You know, what we've just done here is you've told my bosses how they can sack me. Not that they need any more excuses. How they can sack me, right, and replace me with myself for free. And on that cheery note, Will, thank you very much and good night. No, Will, cheers, mate. I enjoyed that. Will Guyatt there, okay.